you to go.
Good morning. This is the Economic Development Committee meeting. I'd like to open the meeting at 10:01 a.m. on February 19th, 2019. If we could please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so we got a lot of business to cover today. We did not have a quorum last month, so we're making up for that meeting as well. So the first item on the agenda is to accept the meeting minutes from the November 20th, 2018 meeting. So I don't know if everybody has had an opportunity to look at those meeting minutes, but does anybody have any comments about those minutes?
No comments.
No comments? No comment?
Mr. Chairman, I've had an opportunity to read them and make a motion to approve.
Second? Thank you. The meeting minutes, November 20th, 2018 have been approved. Thank you. All right. So the next item for today is we need to take a vote on a couple of different items. And the first item is a letter to the Massachusetts Community Development that John actually drafted up. And let's see here. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to take a look at that, but it's basically looking for some grant money in lieu of the fact that the Recreation Committee has not been created as of yet. John has written a letter to Mark Southard, of the Community Development Manager of the Department of Housing and Community Development in Boston, and I can pass it around. I don't know, has everybody had a chance to take a look at this?
Yes.
And we have to take a vote of that to approve it before submission. And I don't know if anybody has any comments about this letter. Comments, concerns, suggestions?
Well, thank you to John for
Putting that together.
putting that together, absolutely.
Yeah, I think he's made a well-crafted argument to request for the grant, and has made our position known. Once the Recreation Committee is created, they can pick up the ball from there and work with this Department of Housing and Community Development. Do I have a motion to accept these minutes?
So moved.
Accept this letter? Anybody second?
I'll second that motion.
All right. Morning, Don.
Hey, Don.
Okay. So this is approved. I'll hand this in. All right. Okay, the next item for vote is the 2018 annual report that also John put together. I had a chance to review it. Looked all-encompassing from the different activities and highlights of the year. I don't have any other further comments on these on this annual report. Has everybody had an opportunity to take a look at it? Does anybody have any comments?
I do not.
No?
No, we're good.
We're good?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, motion, second?
So moved.
All right. Okay. I'll hand that in. All right, so the next item on the agenda is the mill update. So, you know, here it makes a reference about water. You know, I've done a little bit of background on this. Is from our perspective, from this committee's perspective, we're trying to get ahead of this thing. And we do have some interest on both mills now, so we're very, so we're just trying to get ahead of this so we don't have any issue with water. Although water is always going to be a concern, I think getting ahead of this and making sure that we have ample supply in Dudley so that there is no limitations on the development is an area of our responsibility. So with that said, the item on here is ways for us to brainstorm. What could we do to assist the town in our future needs, current and future needs, from a water supply. And so I throw that out to this committee to brainstorm. After second discussion. Oh, okay. Thank you for that. So I don't know if, you know, some of the ideas that I was thinking about when I saw this item on the agenda was, is there any way we could go to some adjacent towns and tap into their water supply? So that was maybe the town of Webster or the town of Oxford. You know, we could ask to tap into their lines. I believe there is some fairly easy access to that supply. I don't know if, you know, if some of you with a longer history in town have any other suggestions on different things we could do. I know we do have you know, our own wells in town. You know, has there been any efforts in the past to seek other developments and creating another well? I don't know if there's any history that some others may think about. You know, that would maybe be another option for the water supply for the development of the mills and beyond.
I know over the years, Brian, that there have been some sites that have been identified in town. If I remember correctly, we get a good portion of our water from Webster currently. We subsidize what we're able to get, and then we utilize that resource. But there were a couple sites that were identified, but every time they went to test them, there was too much contamination. And so I think the search continues, but I'm not sure. I haven't attended a water department meeting in a long time, so I'm not sure exactly, you know, how diligent they're being, although I'm sure they are. But I'm just not sure how many different sites there are that we have access to try to see if we can get more water. But
Okay.
We're doing also, in the community development block grant application, if it gets funded, we do have some improvements to water. We don't have any new supplies. There'll be some improvements to the delivery system, possibly. The pipes, you know, but,
So you're saying there's some monies available to aid in the improvement of the existing water supply?
improvement of the existing system, possibly. We get
Okay.
funded for that, would be nice. I'm making out the application now, submitting it in a few weeks.
You filled out the application already for that,
Not
or?
me, not all of it.
Oh,
Let's say I participated. CMRPC is doing a lot of work
Okay.
on that.
okay. Well, I think that, you know, talking with John on this item, he definitely expressed, you know, a sense of urgency on us as a town, you know, having some action items in place to move forward. And the reason why I bring it up from a committee standpoint is the intention is for us today to vote on the need to draft a letter to express our, you know, that we need to have some serious action items in town to get ahead of the water supply needs of the town. So that's what I'd be looking for from this group today, would be to write that letter to the Board of Selectmen to say that, you know, the town, you know, should get on board with something, whatever that, you know, we could give them some ideas, but we want to, you know, try to get ahead of this and to basically, you know, have them take some action somehow within the next 6 months or a year to address this. That's the understanding I get from John. And that's my hope today, that us as a committee, yes.
Honestly, I wouldn't be in favor of drafting a letter, because I think that's overstepping our bounds with the water. I've been around forever. I go back to when we had a moratorium on water, and I sold lots to builders who could tie into a sewer and had to put a well that, for water that was 20 feet in front of them. So I know the water department is diligent. I don't think they need to hear from us of what they need to be doing. I think if anything, we probably can reiterate to the public, which we're doing now, that this is of concern, and to be supportive in any efforts they need for funding. But I don't think it falls on us to do this. We've got a strong water and sewer department and have had it for a long time. They were smart enough that when we were in trouble, they put the moratorium on that lasted a good 10 years, I think. It was out there for a long time. So I really want to stay out of their way, just be supportive and say whatever you need if we can help you, but I have no creative ideas for them. They have been looking at this for years, for years. They've analyzed, as Mark said, several sites that didn't turn out, one in West Dudley, didn't come together for them. But I think really just to give them a letter of support would be more what I would be in favor of, not looking to tell them that they need to do something, because I think they're doing it. That's my own opinion.
Just a question, because I just don't know how the water department works. I have no experience with them. How then have they been trying, or what would be a solution then if we need to try to bring water to, to the mills? Would it be like whoever, let's say, purchases it or owns it, they would have to set up a private, like, water system there? Or is it just, can you hook up with a company like a quarry? I'm not really too sure how, if they're saying that we've looked at different sites where we can possibly, tap into this, a water source, but it's contaminated, what are the other options?
At one time when that was there was a developer who had come into town 3 people back, and water was the issue at that time. They were trying to negotiate with Webster, and it just didn't come together. I'd be first to say, I'd be trying to go back to Webster and try and negotiate something with them. And
Okay.
obviously, we gotta make it enticing enough, or they have to be in a position to be able to accommodate. If they've got their own issues going on with water in that town right now, as far as the groundwater and cleaning up some of the stuff they gotta do. So I think it's about communication again, trying to open that up. I don't know who else would be logical to go to. Oxford doesn't make any sense to me, because they buy their water.
Part of the reason why the mills are not occupied is there have been a number of developers in here that have had interest in the mills, but water is a big part of it. I believe that that we're at capacity on water now too, so I don't know, even if there's a lot available, you can't get water to it. It's a well or you wait. So we're at that point right now, but like I said, and I agree with Joanne, I think that the water department has been very diligent in doing whatever they can do to try to find the right site, but there's only so much land that you can use and tap to get the volume of water and the quality of water that you need, so.
If anything, maybe we can put it out there that if anybody owns land, is interested in selling it, and think it may be an opportunity to approach our water department on it. I know they're ongoing looking for it, but to come up with the land that offers that potential would be the issue. I'm sure they look at what they need to look at for aquifers and everything else, water that would be suitable on that type of land to draw it from. But if people have that and they think they're a potential, they ought to be approaching our town on it. Maybe that's our best thing, to put that out to the public, that if you think you could be a resource for us, to be contacting our water department.
That's a good idea.
So how would we do that? How would we let it, like on the website, or?
We just did it for one, talking
for
here, but I think website is another good one. Selectmen talking about it at, I think any of the boards that are involved, talking at their meetings and getting that information out to the public. If I owned a piece of land and I thought I could sell it to the town and make some money, and it would also solve a problem, I mean, I certainly would be interested in talking to them.
I think it would also be important for us to just understand what the water department has been doing and what they're up to, and, get an update. All these things we're talking about are probably all things that they've already been addressing. So there there's obviously no silver bullet. It just needs, you know, something, they need to continue to do what they're doing, but reaching out to folks that may have, I mean, there's a lot of farmland here, right? So maybe there's some places or people know that they're in the right area to provide water, and maybe that's an opportunity for the town to step in and either borrow the land or own the land or whatever, or buy the land to make the well site that we're talking about, so.
Okay.
And the other thing, I suppose, is maybe through Central Mass Planning, do they have maps or things through there that would show areas that would offer more potential?
Give
That
aqua
might
maps,
be-
sure.
Yeah, that may be what we should be doing, is helping to give them some funding towards, if they need to use that as a resource and pay for it, to see if that's something, and then approach someone based on what the maps are saying, that potential exists, and would they be willing to do something with us? It's beyond our pay grade to be looking for water. I don't know the first thing to look for it. I remember when it was out towards Paper Mill Road was one of the sites that was, they were very hopeful, and then it just didn't come together because there were high levels of toxins in it.
What are those sticks, Don, the divining rod? Is that what you have one of those at home?
Used to. Walked away.
Took off on its own,
So
right?
I think it's probably more of us sending them a letter, what would they like us to do to help them? And I think part of it may be trying to find the right people that's their specialty area to team up with the town to do that. And it's not an economic development committee, it's probably people that deal with finding water. You'd know better than any of us. Would Central Mass be our link to do this? Or,
One of the links.
Yeah, a couple lots of property owners, I guess Zajac Farm and Corbin Road were thrown out as possible landowners. I don't know if those are still, options for the town. I don't know enough about either one of them. I think Corbin Road may have been sold already, and that's moved on, but the Zajac Farm, I don't know a lot about that particular site, but
I don't have a lot of information about aquifers today, but I imagine it's associated with the Quinnebog and the French River.
okay. Well, it sounds to me, and I'm not sure, what I'm hearing is maybe a letter is not appropriate at this point until we actually get some more information, right? And maybe that's from the water department, or maybe Don, maybe for the next meeting, we could have more information from the planning department. I'm open for suggestions on trying to help us bring this to some progress, but,
I'd say if there's some way to ask someone from the water department to come in too.
right?
I think that's a great idea. Like I said, a lot of these things that we're talking about, I would imagine that they've been involved in, and if they're not, then maybe we can give them some great ideas, but I think that they're all over everything that we've talked about. So rather than, chase this if they're already on it, to hear from them, just to see what they've been up to, might be helpful, and then we can offer our services to see if we can help in any way.
Okay, so we make that, the next step would be to see if they're willing to come and speak to this committee, or,
Update us.
and update us,
I think that's a good recommendation.
okay? All right, so,
Step.
I don't think we need to vote on inviting somebody to this meeting,
No.
correct? So we'll just take that as an action. I'll put it in the meeting minutes, and I don't know who would make that connection. I know John has talked to that water department, so maybe John has some contacts, or Don, you have, obviously. I mean, a lot of people have contacts there. We'll see what their reception is to come to this meeting and provide an update to us at the earliest time possible, okay?
before we go forward, did we do an actual vote on those two things? I know we had a motion and a second, but I don't remember a formal vote on the community development block and on the annual report. Was
All
there?
right, so we're gonna let's do that.
Yeah, I think the annual report, we had a motion and a second. It was the second motion that was made that I made a motion, but it never closed. So I moved it, but I don't think we had a second on that, so was that on the annual report? Fred, was that the one that we didn't close, the annual report? Huh?
Both of them, we didn't do it
Oh, both of
all.
them?
Can vote on it now.
Oh, okay, but didn't call to, okay.
All right, so do we want to have a final vote on the community development block grant letter from us?
Yes,
Okay, all in favor, say.
aye.
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 Okay, so approved, and a final vote on the annual report for fiscal year 2018, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so approved. Thank you. All right, so mill update, we've got that. So I just wanted to take an opportunity. I went to probably Don, and probably a lot of you have already, I just went to this seminar in the fall, in December, on this Healthy Aging Collaborative, which is a item that's been, Governor Baker has kind of latched onto, and it was quite an event. There was probably 75 people there. I saw the Central Mass Community Development folks were there as well. I don't know if I have the paperwork here with me. But basically, it's just a way for communities. It's sort of in the way I perceived it, it was a pledge from, Governor Baker is really promoting, trying to get communities to really think about healthy aging in the state of Massachusetts. And one of the main highlights at this meeting was, dementia and these type of things and there was one particular site in Dudley, a lady got up and spoke about, it's a cafe, memory cafe they call it, in Sturbridge. And this is just one example of kind of the positive things that have come out of this initiative from Governor Baker, but where folks who suffer from dementia or Alzheimer's, they can go there and they can actually participate in daily activities and to help to help that kind of a diagnosis. And so the whole premise of this event was to get the community, and they're trying to get Webster and they're trying to get Dudley, to basically sign on, make the pledge, and you can go to their website as a community and you can kind of become one of those communities who keep the Healthy Aging Collaborative in your thoughts when you're doing community development efforts, so sidewalks and all of these things. So I just wanted to bring it to the communities, to this group's attention, that we've done the strategic plan, and I'm sure that the Central Mass has taken some of this stuff into consideration, but there is the opportunity for Dudley to maybe sign on to this collaborative, to let the governor know that we're thinking of the aging population in all our strategic development plans.
That'll be part of that document you have right in front of you there, too.
This one right here,
Yeah.
or this one here?
Yeah.
I was gonna yeah, we'll talk about that, but that's what you're saying, it'll be a part of that? Okay. And, that's all I wanted to let the team know, that, these kind of opportunities, sounds like Don's already ahead of it, and we're already taking it into consideration. I don't know, I didn't look into, I do have a contact person at the collaborative who works for Governor Baker, that if we want more details, he would even, we could even invite him here, and we could get closer to this initiative if we'd like. So that's all, I just wanted to provide an update.
You speaking of complete streets?
I'm sorry?
Complete streets?
Complete streets?
You've heard of that?
No.
Well, basically, streets traditionally have been designed specifically to move automobiles. Complete Streets is a program that considers that there's other people using the streets too, pedestrians, bicyclists. We have to make room for them too. So there's funding out there available through the Complete Streets program and possibly we tap into at some point in the future. It might be one of the results of some of these studies we're working on here right now, like the one, the Webster,
Dudley
Dudley.
corridor?
yeah.
Yep.
Maybe
Nice.
some improvements might come out of the block grant too, if we get the funding for that, you know. Some plans for improvements anyway, not the physical improvements themselves. It's not that kind of funding we're getting on that one, but, we're working toward it.
All right, excellent.
And currently, right now, for, the residents in Dudley, what services are available for, anybody who's affected by Alzheimer's and dementia? Is there anything that,
The Council for the Aging, I think, is pretty, and our person who is the director down there, they have a couple of different programs going. I think they have some kind of a little thing where people who are going through this meet on, have like a
support
little
group?
luncheon thing that they can exchange and talk about, the stress and the pressure that they're under. I think they're a major resource right now through the community for getting that kind of information out. I think they've done a good job on it, too. She's been very active bringing speakers in, but I just read about something in there being published, that's some kind of a monthly meeting they have on that support.
and Joanne, that's the Council on Aging?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And we do have that director that's there. She's active in bringing programs, but that monthly thing was just something I read about, where they have a support group for that.
Okay, any other thoughts, questions, or discussion on the Healthy Aging Collaborative? And again, I think it's just something I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention. Think about, there are monies out there available to help promote, sidewalks and memory cafes or other support services. And that sounds like we're already thinking about it, but wanted to bring it to this group's attention to think about it as well. Okay, so it looks like the Agricultural Commission, just an update on that. It was approved by the Board of Selectmen on February 11th, 2019. So, beyond that, I don't have any further information on that. I don't know if anybody has anything to add on that, about the Agricultural Commission.
So I missed the meeting with the state representative for hemp. Was that committee, I think that committee was activated prior to that, right? Were they all there, or?
I think they have an advisor.
Huh?
I think
They just had one that went,
at least one advisor.
yeah. Who attended that meeting, anyone? No?
No, I didn't. And
Yeah,
you
I was
did-
out
you
of
did
town.
go- you
No,
did-
no, I was out of town, I couldn't make it. I thought there were some of you guys that were available to go, but, anyway, I know that, that was a pretty big thing that we were able to get them to come in, and so be interested to hear what transpired there, but, no, I think that's fantastic. As we talked about in our last meeting, the fact that this board has created this thing, and the amount of farmers that showed up at that event at the Grange was incredible, and I really think that they have a strong belief that this is really going to happen, and the committee has been formed and it's been approved, and so there's a lot of really good things. So yeah, I guess as soon as we can get debriefed on what transpired at that hemp event, that will be interesting, because I think it was said there that an acre of hemp in the course of a year equates, if it's done properly, equates to about $100,000 in revenue. So I don't know if that's net or just gross revenue, but that's a lot more than what a lot of our farmers here in Dudley are making in an acre of land today.
Yeah.
Likely more like a loss, but, so it's really very positive.
Yeah, I guess the understanding is the commission has been created, and I don't know when their first meeting is, and I imagine, we'll see meeting minutes of theirs, and we can rely on that to get an update for this group from that, at a minimum, right? So, okay, any other questions or thoughts on the Agricultural Commission? All right. So, on to the next item. Joanne, you kind of touched on this. I think we're, the video update,
Yeah,
so kind of,
we kind of got set back a little bit because I didn't realize Nichols was on break, which makes sense, so we haven't had the communication. Pam and I have been talking, so hopefully we'll get something moving this month where Mark and I can meet with these people and get some activity going.
okay. All right, so that brings us to Don. Don, an update on the CBD grant?
I think we've been talking about that a little bit.
Sure.
We're looking to start with two neighborhoods, really. It's the, we're on Brennan Street and one we call Jericho. And we're looking at it's a plan for, sort of a plan for the plans, so to speak, a plan for the engineering that would need to be done and so forth. That has to do with infrastructure, water and sewer, and also the, what do you call it, the exterior infrastructure, sidewalks, curbs, streets, that sort of thing.
Where was the first one? The first location?
Brennan Street?
Oh, Brandon Road.
Brandon Road, is it?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And then Jericho is Oxford Ave, I think.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's due on the 8th of March, so we're diligently working on that one with CMRPC, and hopefully that'll come to fruition.
Okay.
So
The other thing, I'm sorry,
no, go ahead.
the other thing is this,
This thing?
Dudley, Development Strategic Plan. Haven't met with folks in Webster yet, but I hope I will soon, shortly.
Okay.
My counterpart in Webster, along with the CMRPC people. We'll get that going. That actually ties in a lot of this work we've been doing over the past 3 or 4 years.
Okay. So
It's been up-
you're
it's been up-
scheduling to meet with Webster soon,
Yeah,
is the update on that? Okay, great, thanks.
they meet with us, whatever the
Yeah,
case
yeah.
is.
Okay,
So segue into that, so I'm on the board at the Webster Dudley Business Alliance, and I think the last meeting we had, there's a lot of communication between that board and Webster, but I don't hear a lot of discussion about that board and Dudley, and it is the Webster Dudley Business Alliance. I'm not sure if you've been approached or not, or if maybe we need to
Did I just get approached?
approach them, huh?
Yeah, they just get approached by you for them?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm on the board, so yeah, I just said,
Yeah.
listen, I'm on the economic development, and I was on the planning board before, and so, Don, I think, would be, very happy, the Dudley Town Planner, to participate in this. I think that we need to include him, or let me know what we need to do to get him to get in touch with, the group, so,
I went to a meeting, a couple meetings last year, but I haven't really,
yeah,
haven't been, quite some time, so.
okay.
I'll be
So,
in touch
yeah,
with-
I think we should reach out to, I think you should reach out to them, and it's Deb Horan, who runs the Book Lovers, so
Yeah.
you're familiar with her.
Yeah.
And just reach out and say, hey, how can we participate in this? I know that you've got some collaboration with the Webster Planning Board and Economic Development. How do we need to participate? And I keep them updated on all the different things that we have going on, just as a board member, but I think it should probably come, more through planning, which is an extension of the economic development, but, all right?
Yeah,
And I'll
Moran.
be happy to be the liaison, and call me if you have any questions.
Okay, sure. Good, thank you.
okay. So, moving right along, so we're at the, any new business open discussion. I do have one item to discuss with the group. So unfortunately, we received, Russ is not going to be able to participate as a full member of this committee any longer. He did offer up to be an alternate, but unfortunately, we don't have any alternate positions available. So with that said, we we've accepted, I don't know, do we have to vote on the acceptance of a resignation? But he has resigned from this committee, as far as I'm concerned, from a letter from him. So we have a full member position available, and we, so we need to identify another member.
So I know Ellen was an was a full member, but she became an alternate, but how about Barbara? Would she be interested in filling that spot?
That's a good question.
I think we can offer it to her, but I think she's pretty busy right now with her career that she's doing. But certainly we should at least offer it to her and see what she wants to do.
Yeah, I don't know her very well, so I don't know, but, yeah,
Okay.
just a thought.
Yep.
And if we didn't think that, yeah, I mean, whatever the board's pleasure is, but.
Well, we're seeking a member. I mean, I can, I don't know Barbara either, but I can send her a note, and ask her if she would be interested. And,
I know, I know Basha, yeah, I can reach out to her.
Can you do that? Awesome.
Certainly, I think,
Right.
like Joanne had mentioned, she's, I mean, as far as I know, she's either almost finished or she was going to law school, she's got a lot on her plate at the moment, so, but I will reach out to her, I'll connect with her
Okay.
this week and let you know.
All right. And then once we know about her, we can decide next steps.
And then we should also tell Russ that he can't leave unless he finds someone to fill his spot.
All in favor?
We don't do that.
Hey, Russ. So that was the only additional item I needed to address for new business. I don't know, does anybody else have any new business they'd like to discuss at this time?
I mean,
I do
Nope.
not.
Okay. Well, would anybody motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 10:37, meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Okay?
Thanks.